This is Kinto. He has the strongest character in the game and the most watched on Mijidvar, famous by the nickname King. Everyone is addicted to him, spending hours watching him kill the final boss and clearing the most feared dungeon on the server. But on the day he was finally going to reveal his face to his fans, his brother RTO Jinguji cut the stream, beat him up, announced he had bought the account, and took King's place in front of everyone. Out of nowhere, Kinto lost the fame he built from scratch and still had to watch his brother on TV, being praised like he was the big genius behind everything. After hours feeling depressed, he decides to make a comeback and says he'll do whatever it takes to destroy his brother. No account and no money. He took out a heavy loan of $25,000 and bought a new virtual reality capsule. Kinto entered the game, created a new avatar called Shadow, and set 2 goals. He needed to make money fast, and he needed to get revenge on Rado. In a tower tutorial, the current record belongs to his old character, King. Even with a brand new character and stats all at 0, Kinto still had all the knowledge and skill from the tutorial before. The timer started, and he takes off clearing floors like it's nothing. Every floor he passed, he broke a record. On the 6th floor, the levels were already high, but not for him, who defeated the goblin by throwing a dagger right into its throat. The poor dog tried to get revenge, but the MC killed it without breaking a sweat. He was already heading to the 7th floor, and only 2 minutes had passed. Shadow was unstoppable, climbing to the 7th, 9th, 10th floor and reaching the final boss. This ugly thing is level 12, a big gap compared to him who is level 1. Even so, the MC didn't back down, went straight at it, trusting his own skill. The monster got lost. In that moment, he saw the opening, drove the dagger right into the middle of the monster's forehead, and finished the tutorial dungeon. When he opened the leaderboard, he saw his name in first place, breaking the tutorial world record. But now, the real challenge begins because a hidden mission was unlocked. Looking up, he sees the shadow of a flying monster, and he gets scared because he's on a brand new account now. And defeating this monster is going to be really hard since it's level 50. The MC stares coldly, grabs the dagger, and goes straight at the monster. The dragon flies around, just spitting fire from above. He spots a pile of rocks, charges forward, pulls off a massive jump, and starts slicing the dragon nonstop. The timer only had 1 minute left, so the guy tries every way possible to cut the dragon, but nothing seems to work. While falling onto the dragon's neck, he spotted a stone and found the weak point. Right there, he raised the dagger and drove it into the stone, splitting it in half. The dragon starts to crumble and was completely defeated. In 14 minutes and 59 seconds, he set a new record on the hidden mission. His reward was a magic chest, and when he opened it, he received a legendary sword called Kororo, which has absolutely broken stats. On top of being a rare sword, it also has consciousness and can talk, meaning this is the most busted sword in the game. In no time, he arrives at the Village of Beginnings. When he says he didn't expect the king to be there, the sword immediately shuts him down. Thinking it over, he says that even if the item stats are low, it's still legendary, which means it's worth a ton of money. Kiro tells the kid to stop thinking about that and says it's the best sword in the world. We're taken to the Forest of Beginnings. Shadow is ready to level up and hunt high-rank items since he needs cash. After a while, we see him finishing off a goblin while the sword tells him to stop cutting down such pathetic little creatures. Noticing he's reached level 4, the protag decides to put points into agility. But when he opens the panel, he finds out the sword. Stats went up too. Explaining it, Kiro says its ability lets it grow along with its owner. Curious, the kid asks what that other stat is, but the sword says it doesn't know. Suddenly, Shadow hears voices and quickly figures out there are 7 more people nearby. We see a group of players thanking Sudi, who smiles and says her job is supporting newbies. The protag notices that even though he can sense 7 presences, he's only seeing 4 people, which means 3 of them are hiding in the shadows. The demonic sword says that's pretty common when people want to hunt new players. Since he can't stand bastards who prey on the weak, the kid decides to step in. The sword says it figured he was the justice type, showing it hasn't stopped reading his thoughts for even a second. Seeing him, Sudi asks if he's a newbie too. When he confirms it, The other players get excited, but Shadow says this isn't the best place for beginners to level up. Then he blocks the hunter's attack, and the guy realizes the kid doesn't need help at all. Watching the fight, the other players ask what they should do. Shouting, the kid tells them to get out of there. But then more hunters jump out from the bushes. The gang leader attacks again, making the protag realize this is far from over. One boy decides screw it and charges in. But before the protag can do anything, the kid takes a fatal hit. Shadow is left stunned, and a message appears saying the boy won't be able to play for 24 hours. The hunters move in on the girls and tell them not to worry because they'll be joining him soon. Taunting them, the boss says he'll keep things nice and calm while he focuses on defense. Eyeing the money, one of the assassins says it's all thanks to King. Then he apologizes for letting that slip. Suddenly, Saad notices something changed about the hooded guy, giving off insane pressure. The kid tells the man to say that again and explain what King has to do with any of this. The hunter says he has no idea what he's talking about, and before he can react, he gets his head taken off. With his eyes glowing, the protag says he's been hearing that name a lot, so he wants the truth. Kiro asks what's going on and why the kid isn't listening. Realizing he's completely given into his rage, it tries to calm things down since it's been through that before. A message appears saying an account deletion dual field has been activated and the target player will be eliminated. Seeing what the protag can do, the mercenary leader wonders what the hell is happening. The player who'd been killed shows up and starts running from the shadow claws, but he gets caught. And while he begs for help, he's sucked into a pit. Breaking into a cold sweat, Sooty still doesn't understand anything, wondering what that hand is and why her ally's corpse is the only one that didn't disappear. Shadow tells the kid to stop being scared. The hunt has only just begun. Thinking to himself, the mercenary concludes this isn't the Yai Jersey knows. Face to face with the player, the protag asks why and who gave the order to kill beginners. Yelling, the assassin says he's following King's orders and it's not his fault. Consumed by hate, the kid starts landing brutal strikes. Then he asks why they're doing this, and Sooty, crying, says she doesn't know. Delivering the final slash, the protag says that in that case, he can just die. With the elimination, the account deletion dual field is deactivated. Noticing the kid looks kind of dizzy. One of the girls asks if he's okay before thanking him for saving them. Our guy says it was no big deal, but the player in the hat disagrees and says that when he was fighting, he looked just like King himself. Shia decides to step away and sit down. Worried, Kiro asks if he's all right, but the kid doesn't answer. He asks what that field from earlier was. Feeling the pressure, the sword tells its owner to tone down his killing intent, since its memory data is protected, and the only thing it knows is that the dual field is where players' accounts get put up as stakes. So, those giant hands are called the Hands of God. They're responsible for swallowing players' account info, stopping them from reincarnating because that data is basically like a soul. Thinking about it, our guy says it's insane for a skill to have that much power. Then he realizes he ended up doing something similar to what Rito did. The sword says the kid's emotions caused a glitch in the protection system and that its creator helped develop the game but got fired. And the last thing it felt before being reprogrammed was extreme agony. Standing up, the protagonist says that's good since he swore revenge on King and says he believes that story. He decides to check the items he picked up. Kiro says the guy's left hand is shaking and that he's going to pretend he didn't see it. With the Falcon bracelet, the Black Wolf tonic, and the Venom Fong dagger. Shadow says the enemies had some decent loot and he'll auction off the rest. When someone asks if he's really that broke, he says that either way, he can only do what he needs to do if he defeats rare monsters. Then, we're taken to the Lost Road. After walking for a while, Kiro asks if his owner got lost. Denying it, the protagonist says that after they leave the camouflaged labyrinth, they'll reach the NPC's base. They look a lot like humans and can be useful for gathering info about rare monsters. The sword asks if he doesn't have any human friends. Our guy says he's always played solo, then quickly changes the subject when he smells smoke. Thinking about his brother, he says that besides feeling powerless, he knew something important was being destroyed, and now he needs to figure out how that happened. Walking through the burning village, He calls out asking if anyone's there until he hears a little girl named Rin crying for help. Shadow manages to pull the NPC out of the rubble before the worst happens. Then he grabs a healing potion to help her, but when she opens her eyes, she screams and backs away. The protagonist says he's there to help. Crying, the little girl asks if he's going to call the king. We find out a group of strangers showed up in the village and took all the adults under King's command. When asked if he's okay, Shadow says yes and tells Kiro not to worry. Then he says it's time to kill the people responsible for that tragedy. Up ahead, they see a group of men beating up a villager. The guy tries to protect himself with his hands. Suddenly, the protagonist appears behind one of them and with a single strike takes another life. The demon sword says that dagger looks hard to use. And when he asks if it's jealous, it denies it, saying it just doesn't like that weapon. After wiping out almost the whole gang, Kunto says he needed practice so he could use it when it really mattered. All of a sudden, someone starts screaming. The mercenary leader says the guy screams way too much for an NPC that's supposed to just give information. Crying, the guy says he only wants the leader, which makes the killer decide to just end this already. But before he can, one of his allies gets his head taken clean off. After taking out the captain, the protagonist says he's way too slow, and as he walks up, he asks if the guy on the ground is okay. The guy thanks him for the help, and when he hears about Run, he says he wants Shadow to help his people move forward. Since their leader,